Hi, we're back in Alma's garden, and last week we talked about how you could use different kinds of watercolors to add color to your drawings. So I'm going to show you a few little tiny drawings I did. These are artist card size. That means the same size basically as a hockey card or smaller than a playing card. So I did one drawing of bark, very close up, and it's bark on a cypress tree. And it has all kinds of reds and browns and purples. And then I did another one of some flowers that are in Alma's garden. Actually, I think this way. I did the purple flowers, the seed pods hanging, and then some leaves in the background. So this is with a technique. It's a type of material that I really like to use because it's a cross between drawing and painting. It's called watercolor pencil crayons. So the way watercolor pencil crayons work, basically you have pencil crayons and you draw with them. You can take another color, and I have two different sets that I'm playing with here, two different brands. I have some many colors. So you draw what you want to draw, and then you take your paintbrush, you turn it into paint. You make sure that you tap your paintbrush on the side of the water container so you don't get too much water. And then you lightly, and I'm really doing this lightly at first, blend the colors. So that's how watercolor pencil crayons work. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a leaf off the oak tree that's above us. There's a beautiful oak tree above us. And there's an old Mi'kmaq story about the oak tree and the acorn. And so this little artwork I'm doing is reminding me of this story from my people. And this story is about how a little acorn wants to be strong like an oak tree. And it goes through all kinds of difficulties in its life, and eventually it does become a big oak tree. Survives all those difficulties that it goes through. So I've got this leaf, and I've just put it against some white paper so that I can see the colors in it. And I've drawn it, and now I'm shading with different colors of green. I'm putting my paintbrush down for a while, and I'm going to take some of these greens and shade so you can see. I'm trying to draw fairly detailed. I'm making a nice little drawing. This drawing, I could frame it later if I want to, or I could add it to another artwork. Or I could glue it in my sketchbook just to remember the day and remember the story from my people. I don't want to just do outlines though, I want to do some shading. So I'm going to take a darker green and I'm going to shade in some of the darker areas. And I'm going to blend that with this olive color that is this oak leaf is this time of year. Oak leaves change colors. They're not as big of a change as maple, but they do change to some kind of nice browny rust colors in the fall, depending on what kind of oak it is. On this side of the leaf, I'm going to go in with a little bit of a lighter color, shading in between the main lines. Then take the same color I used on this side, only I'm blending it with the lighter color. The key to this material is you do your drawing first and you add your water later. If you don't like it after you've added the water, you have to let the whole thing dry out before you can add more drawing again. Otherwise it just goes kind of smeary and not very nice. Now I see some little highlights of orangey golden colors that I'm going to play with. So in here, there's a little tiny bit of orange that I'm going to add in. This is to give it an accent. Once I add the water, it's going to look very different. A little bit of what's called ochre or golden brown. Also on these lines. I want the lines to pop out a little bit. So I'm going to add some water now. I'm taking a smaller brush this time. Again, I'm tapping the brush on the edge of the container so it doesn't get too much water because I don't want it too wet. And I'm not going to paint on the lines at all. I've decided I'm just going to paint in between. And I'm going to blend those colors to turn them into watercolor. But I want my lines to stand out still. And I'm doing this very, very light, like this. This is how light I'm doing it. And I also don't want the outline to be a real strong outline. I want it blended in with the background of the leaf. So I'm blending. I still haven't added any water yet though. When I feel like it's getting too dry, I might dip it in water again, tap it on the side to get so it's not too much water, and start again.